Hi, everybody. My name is Katherine Andruha, and I am the Director of Global Sales Development here at Aptus. My teams are comprised of 28 BDRs globally. I have about 4 BDRs that sit in our London, UK office, which is where I am actually calling you all from. There's a picture of me over at Stonehenge, but really, I also have a BDR that's going to be sitting in our Sydney office, and the rest are in our HQ office in sunny San Mateo, California. So I'm really excited to be invited to speak to you guys today. Today, my presentation is really going to be about stacking and attacking. And I'm going to focus more on the why and not necessarily the what. So I will share with you some vendors, but I'm also not going to just share with you only the tech stack that we use. I really want to focus on why we chose certain vendors and what we did while we were choosing. With that being said, I, of course, have to throw in the Aptus pitch here. So just to give you guys a quick overview of what Aptus does, Aptus provides an intelligent cloud, which is a full set of enterprise-level integrated end-to-end applications that basically enhance your entire quote-to-cash process. Now, what does that mean? It combines process-based applications, including configure price quoting tools, contracts, billing and order management, revenue recognition, and e-commerce. And of course, we also integrate behavioral applications to align and drive revenue, award-winning behavior across all of your sales channels. What's really great is that Aptus is also underpinned by an artificial intelligence operating system, which allows our single data model, which includes machine learning to recommend relevant and intelligent actions using conversational user interface. Now, what does that necessarily mean? It allows Max, our artificial intelligence bot, to interact with our platform and other third-party enterprise software vendors such as Skype or Slack or even your text messaging tools. And so Max can orchestrate aspects of the CRM such as creating and updating, searching accounts, contacts, or opportunities. And so it's layered on top of our quote-to-cash tool here. So enough about Aptus. But I will say that what's fantastic about Aptus is that we are ahead of the game. And what you'll notice during my presentation is that artificial intelligence is really what's driving SDR's tools and where you can see yourself and SDR World landing shortly. So I think what's really important is that when you start evaluating your tech stack, you really, really have to look at how you're going to play the game and the pieces to your game. In case anybody's familiar with Battleship from really long time ago, from my childhood, you know, you really have to look at the pieces on your game board. And with that being said, you really have to look at your BDR organization. Next, you're going to take a look at how to plan your attack. And with that being said, that's really when you're going to take a look at your tech stack. And then, of course, I sunk your battleship, AKA the attack on your prospects. How are you going to get out there and really put your plan, your battle plan to use and build pipeline and revenue for your organization? A lot of the times what I have noticed lately within the BDR organizations is that they love to email, they love to text message, they love to email, they love to send in-mails, and it seems to be what their favorite thing is. However, what I will notice and what I will say is that, you know, much of our emails are now landing in spam, not because they don't have great content, but because our prospects IT groups have gotten a little bit smarter. They've been able to blacklist certain email addresses. They've been able to decipher what is a BDR email coming through based on subject lines. So we have to be a little bit smarter than the IT guys. So with that being said, we really have to take a look at how you plan on playing your game. And as mentioned, it really is your BDRs. They're the most important component to your tech stack. And luckily for me, I'm amazed at how my team is doing. I have such an amazing team at Aptus. This is a picture of my great team at Dreamforce. We actually set up a little happy hour for them, and they were actually calling on MQLs that had come by our booth in the first 2 days, and they were dialing through it. So keep that in mind. If you don't hire well, then your tech stack is really just going to be useless. So you really have to examine why you're going to go out and fight this battle. And by doing so, that will help drive the type of tech stack you're going to be putting together. And when you're fighting this battle, you're going to look at 3 different components. How are you going to segment your team? Examine the reasons for why you want to improve this. You know, are you trying to break into a new segment of the market? How are you going to break up your team to make sure you are getting into this new segment? At Aptus, we actually are comprised of an inbound team. We have an enterprise BDR team. We have an install-based team, and we have a commercial-based team. And what does that mean? We're able to attack the entire market. So we really examined the segments that we were going after to help enhance growth of the Aptus platform. And then you want to make sure that you're looking at cost of your BDR organization. Is hiring in a different location really what's best for your organization? Sometimes when we're looking at assessments, I've done this a couple times at other orgs, you know, the value of moving an entire team to a different location really isn't that great, and the cost isn't that low in comparison to having them all at HQ and building that rapport with one another. So after you're done deciding, you know, how big you want your team to be and where you're going to be attacking, you really have to put together your recruiting forces. Are you going to be looking at experienced BDRs versus college grad BDRs? Right now, for my inbound team, I hire BDRs that have maybe come from different industries that are trying to break into the SaaS space. Some of them are college graduates. Some of them come from the retail space and just have that motivation. When I'm looking at my enterprise or my install-based team, I'm also looking at experience. So a lot of my BDRs have about 1.5 to 2 years of experience. Aptus' product set isn't just about selling our products, but it's our approach as well. And in that experienced BDR set, I found that I don't necessarily have to teach them how to be on the phone. It's just about how we're pitching Aptus. And then you want to look at the process that you have in place for these BDRs. Are they going to do inbound versus an outbound approach for each of them? My enterprise BDRs only receive leads from their tier 2 accounts. And what that means is that's MQLs from their top accounts. The cost associated with each MQL and the follow-up is also something that you should really team up with your marketing organization as well as with your sales organization. Luckily, as we are putting the process in place, you know, I have a fantastic sales operations team. We sat down together and figured out how do BDRs fit in the full sales cycle. BDRs create pipeline at stage 1 or stage 2. And with my sales process, we actually create pipeline at stage 1, and then we recognize it at stage 2. Our qualification process is really strict, meaning we want to make sure that the people that we're putting in front of our account executives aren't just tire kickers. Now, my inbound team focuses on all leads that actually come in through our website or inbound, I should say. So they are on the phones with our prospects globally within 5 to 10 minutes of that lead coming in. Next, you want to figure out, on top of just hiring and recruiting your BDRs and making sure that they can fulfill your wishes of your BDR organization, you want to take a look at how you're going to continue training your army that's going to go to battle for you. At Aptus, we are lucky enough to have a fantastic sales enablement team. They have a new hire boot camp where the BDRs and the entire organization are in within the first week of hire. They come in, they sit down for an entire week and learn our products, they learn our pitch, they learn our quote-to-cash solution, and meet various members of the organization. And then when they come into the BDR organization after they understand our product, I do an intense 2-week training where they're sitting with various members of the BDR organization. They're conducting mock calls. They're learning how to write email templates. They're learning how to use our tools. More on that in just a second. They are listening in on discovery calls. And then eventually I am having them call blacklisted leads, which, aren't going anywhere. Those are leads that maybe aren't there, but what it does is it allows the BDRs to become familiar with our process that we have in place in our CRM. I apologize for all the background noise. I am calling you guys from London, and I am in the city center proper, so there may be some background noise, so I apologize for that. What's really important, I keep mentioning it, and I'm really lucky here at Aptus that when I came into the organization, there was already an established relationship between marketing and the BDR organization and sales. There was a relationship between sales and the BDRs, and we even grew our relationship into sales operations and sales enablement. So it's not just the BDRs running alone. Everybody is one team here at Aptus, and I think that's really important to understand. What are the motivations of every single department? So you're not just playing the game with your BDRs. You really have to have buy-in from various members of your organization. And I should have actually listed that here. I really suggest that you take a look at that as well before you start moving forward. Now let's figure out how to plan your attack. I really recommend that you start asking yourself the following questions. Are my BDRs able to complete their role using this tool? Or is it just going to bog them down? What are you trying to measure? As a manager or as a director, you can measure dials, but what kind of dials are you trying to measure? Do you want to figure out how many conversations the BDRs are having? And then what problems are you trying to solve? Is it the fact that BDRs are just too afraid to pick up the phone? Well, I can tell you right now that a refractive dialer or a power dialing tool isn't going to help your BDRs pick the phone up. That's a training issue. And I would really recommend taking a look at working with your sales enablement teams or even creating your own training tools. And then that may help them versus just picking out a tool. And I'm sure everybody on the phone that's a vendor is kind of cringing, but to be honest with you, vendors really want to make sure that user adoption is number one, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. And then cost. Do you have enough in your budget? It's one thing to go out and buy a bunch of tools, but you really want to take a look at, what's in your budget and make sure that you can actually afford it. So as you're planning the attack, we use Topo. I'll dive a little bit more into Topo, our analyst firm that we use. I use Topo to level set, my business needs and what the industry is doing. But what I noticed is that in a recent Topo Tech Stack report, statistics are showing that SDR leaders are actually ranking ease of use and integration higher than ROI when considering various tools. So as mentioned before, adoption and training are some of the top challenges that they're having with sales development tech stacks, and it makes sense. You can buy as many tools as you want, but remember, the tools don't just solve your problems. You actually have to make sure that your BDRs are using the tools or trained on the tools, and that your BDRs are trained before you even purchase these tools. A lot of the times, the highest performing teams typically have about 5 to 8 tools in their tech stack, and then the percentage of teams achieving 90% or more of sales quota peaks in that 5 to 8 tool range. So if you've got about 15 tools, I would sit back and examine those tools. Are some of the tools redundant? Or can you cut some costs in some areas? Does only one group use one certain data set? If that's the case and you're trying to hit different market segments, I highly recommend looking at various tools that can actually hit all your market segments on one platform. And keep in mind also that for many, the SDR tech stack is still evolving. And as mentioned, AI and machine learning are probably going to be some of the most important innovative tools that are going to hit the sales development organization's tech stack. So as I was reading through, the survey and just evaluating and looking at my own tech stack, what I noticed was that 50% of the respondents said that adoption was like their primary pain points and their area of concern. And then 52% said that training was their next pain point. And 48% of respondents took a look at how their tech stack actually integrated in with their current platforms. So just taking a look here at what we use at Aptiv, you want to take a look at how are your SDRs engaging with their prospects. We're really lucky because we actually use InsideSales.com, which you can see down here below. We use their email tool, their power dialer, and we will be moving on to their playbooks orchestration tool. What I'm really excited about Inside Sales Playbooks is that we're going to be able to pull from Sales Navigator. We're going to be able to set up plays that will automatically be sent out to our prospects. So my BDRs can just click and win. What you'll notice is that the #1 area that teams want to spend most of their money on is actually data solutions, but the largest spends actually go to your CRM tools. So that really is where your infrastructure lies, is in your CRM tools. And then keep in mind that if you have large teams, like 50 plus BDRs, you're looking to spend about $400,000 or more on just your tech stack, and that doesn't include CRM. And then a mid-sized team can really spend between $150,000 to about $250,000, depending on your size. And that's really around 10 to 25 BDRs. So keep that in mind if you're planning your attack on your prospects. You really want to make sure that you have a budget that can support that attack. And then also, if you can combine a good data set with a good emailing, dialing, orchestration tool, you're going to see more ROI in your organization. And about 32% of the respondents, as they were looking at their tech stack, they actually were looking at InsideSales.com to switch to. So congrats to InsideSales.com. I highly recommend you guys take a look at their tool. So here at Aptiv, as mentioned, we do use InsideSales.com. We also use Engagio mainly for account mapping. We also use them for plays for our top accounts, but not just for everyday leads. When we were looking at data issues within the BDR organization, we took a look at a bunch of different vendors. Actually, Discover.org was the one that we settled on, and lucky for us, they actually purchased their competitor ranking. So we now have 2 amazing data sets, but Discover.org provides us with a responsibility matrix for our prospect tech stack. We're able to get direct phone numbers, emails, org charts, and just dive in a little bit on the business persona of the prospect that we're going after. Whereas with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, we're able to hit that person from a more personal, relevant message, not the business persona per se. We use Sales LinkedIn Navigator to send in-mails, do lead searches, follow our accounts, and use a more strategic persona approach. I already mentioned our infrastructure, our CRM. We do use Marketo, which is our marketing automation tool. I don't set up the lead routing rules. My marketing operations team takes care of that for us. But what I can say is I'm going to go back to your relationship with your marketing department. It's really important that marketing understands the type of leads that can convert and provide your organization ROI. It's really important for lead routing as well. We have a very strict scoring system that my BDRs only receive leads, as mentioned before, based on a tier process, but also the interactions of the prospect online. So we're not inundated with people that just clicked on a link. We actually make them work a little bit harder before we reach out to them. Marketo is really run by our marketing organization. I will say that we take a look at Marketo insights in every lead to see what the prospect has done and why they've MQL'd up. Lead Genius is also used by our marketing organization for some data cleansing. We also use Topo, which is an outside influence. Topo is a research and advisory firm that I have actually relied on for best business practices. I wanted to make sure that when I was evaluating my tech stack, when I was looking at my BDR organization in alignment with marketing and sales and supporting field sales, wanted to make sure that I was successful and that my BDRs were on a trajectory for success. So Topo provides me with that marketing, sales development, sales benchmarking tools. And they also can help you deliver playbooks and training and support. I was able to actually use one of their studies here just to provide feedback on what the industry is doing. And I found myself as I was reading through it, I'm like, all right, I'm on par with this. This is awesome. So take this in. I want you guys to know that at Aptus, we are really lucky. We have the ability to use various tools in the marketplace. I know this seems like, oh my God, they get to use so much, but really you'll notice that the BDR team really only uses about 5 of the items here, right? The other items are used by other organizations, and Topo is really for my management team. They do provide trainings to my BDRs, but it's not a tech stack tool that we use on a daily basis except for maybe our templates and such. I'll let you guys just soak this all in. And keep in mind also, there's various vendors for all of these different types of tools, for SDR engagement, for data issues, intelligence, outside training organizations. I could give you a list. This is just what we use at Aptus. So feel free to reach out to me if you guys have questions about other vendors. I've used a multitude of vendors across my BDR tenure. So with that being said, in order to sink your battleship or sink your prospect's battleship, it's really important that you have these tools in place and you provide training to your BDR org. The cadence is also really important as well. So I would suggest to meet with your analysts, meet with your sales enablement team to make sure that you've decided on a game plan that's actually in line with business industry standards. Make sure that your leads are scored well in Marketo and that you're not just throwing every single lead at your BDR org. All that does is just fluff up your pipeline and doesn't provide real ROI for your field sales team and just creates animosity. Then you're going to take a look at how your leads are received in your CRM. We have various leads views for our MQLs. Leads today, leads in the last 7 days, last 21 days, 90 days, and last year. I want to make sure that all of my leads are touched at least four times via call and email. It takes about 18 touches to convert that lead. Make sure that your leads are being called. We use our power dialer to call, and we use Vision to send emails. And right now we're using Engagio to set up plays for our top accounts. And then you're going to want to hit up LinkedIn Sales Navigator to send out your in-mail. We like to do at least 3 to 4 touches in different areas on our prospects on the first full touch of the cadence. And then just make sure that your orchestration is repeatable. Make sure that your BDRs can do this every single day. They can send out direct mailers, switch it up on some days, but you want to make sure that the gist of your tool stack is easily used on a daily basis by your BDRs. And in turn, you should hopefully create some ROI and revenue for your organization. So thanks so much today, you guys. I really appreciate your time. I tried to throw in some pictures and some relevant stories for you. If you have additional questions, please always feel free to reach out to me. My information is up on the website for the summit. I look forward to hearing from you, and good luck with building that pipeline for your BDR organization.